If it's 1 or 0, yeah, that's the scenario where I see one and done being in play because I think it'd be hard for Woody Johnson to look at the paying customers and say we're running it back if it's 1 win or 0 wins.
Hello and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson. That's our Jets beat writer Brian Costello. Today is Monday, October 20th. The Jets have started the season 0-7 after an ugly loss against the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. And we're here to break it down with Mr. Costello. We're going to talk about Justin Fields, him being benched, Tyrod Taylor getting in the game, Aaron Glenn's comments today about the quarterback situation being uncertain. We're going to break it all down on today's episode. But before we get to any of that, as always, Kaz, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Ryan. Today's my wedding anniversary.
Hey,
So
congratulations.
thank you. 23 years.
Wow. How's that make you
Yes.
feel?
So
23 years. I was 10 years old.
I know I'm old already. I know I'm old.
No, that's awesome, man. 23 years. That's something to be proud of. And look, I'm sure you get to come home and enjoy your home and enjoy being with your family, even though it's a tough watch. This
Yeah.
job that you have right now to go watch this football team and cover it. I'm sure there's a nice little bit of peace at home for you.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
And
the problem was my eyes were bleeding yesterday when I got home. So that was, from watching that football game. But yeah, you're right. It's always nice to come home after that.
it is, it is. Look, I want to start with the quarterback position, and I got to start with, you would ask Glenn after the game in London about the quarterback change and if it needed to
Yeah.
happen, and he called it a ridiculous question and be better. And he immediately goes in the middle of the game, seeing that Fields was struggling in the third quarter, to go to Tyrod. I want to understand your perspective on this with Aaron Glenn and how he's going about being the head coach and pulling the trigger there in the third quarter, but also in the same time understanding, like, week to week, you can't say one thing and then go about it a different way the following week.
Yeah. I mean, number one, I don't think the press conference mattered, as that much. He made the right decision yesterday. He pulled the quarterback at halftime. I think in London he was trying to defend his guy, and and I think he went a little too far. Just attacking the question wasn't smart because anyone who watched that game, minus 10 passing yards, was wondering whether you should change the quarterback. And I think he has to understand that. And I think it would have been fine if he came out and said, I understand the question. He didn't play well today, but he's my guy. We're sticking with him. We believe in him. He's going to play great next week. And I think if he said that, nobody would have blinked. They might have disagreed with him, but I think it would have been okay. I think it was just kind of attacking the question, drew a lot of attention to it. But yeah, like he made the right decision yesterday. I think watching those first two quarters, there probably wasn't anybody outside of Justin Fields' family that was saying stick with him for the second half. So he did the right thing. Give him credit. He's been getting a lot of criticism, but I thought, I don't think yesterday was on him in terms of game management or anything. I think he did the right thing there. Tyrod just wasn't the answer in the second half.
No, he certainly wasn't. And look, two interceptions were not pretty. Both balls underthrown on guys you could have argued who were open, and could have made the play. Um, I just I guess for you, hearing Aaron Glenn's comments today about he still has to make that decision, where do the Jets go with the quarterback position next week against the Bengals?
Yeah, I wrote today. I mean, to me, there's no good options. This is like broccoli or cauliflower. Is it, that's the choice here to me. Like, I get that Tyrod has some appeal and stuff, but he's a backup quarterback for a reason, and he's a good backup quarterback. But a good backup quarterback is a guy you hope only plays 3 or 4 games when your starter's hurt. It's not somebody you want taking over mid-season. He's not the future. This isn't a Jackson Dart situation where even if he, plays poorly, you're still getting hope for the future. So it's a bad situation. I personally would probably go with Tyrod. I just think Fields needs some time to clear his head. He just looks like he's a mess mentally right now to me, and nothing really is functioning with him on the field. I thought the offense in the second half with Taylor had some good moments. He had a couple long throws there to Tyler Johnson. They moved the ball. The first drive, they moved the ball a little bit, and then even when he came in the first half, when Tyrod had that was being checked for a concussion, he got down there in the red zone.
Yep.
He converted a third down, and they got flagged for an illegal motion, I believe it was, or illegal shift. So that wiped that out, and they ended up kicking the field goal. But to me, the offense looks better with Tyrod. It doesn't look good; it looks better. So I would go with Tyrod against Cincinnati.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of questions about what this offense has produced thus far this season. Ever since the Steelers game, you know it, Kaz. It's been one offensive touchdown scored in the first three quarters of the
Yeah,
last six games.
it's
Everything
pretty
else,
incredible.
it's incredible, and zero in the
Yeah.
last two games total.
Well,
Um,
what's funny though, Ryan, is I just looked up like stretches like that, and we've actually lived through a bunch of them recently. They're not as rare as you think. Like there was a stretch in 2023 with Zach, if you remember, in the middle of the year
oh, I
where
remember.
they weren't scoring. I think that's when they went to Tim Boyle. There was a stretch end of 2022. They didn't score any touchdowns in the final three games. Jacksonville, Seattle, and Miami, which was, I think Mike White started one of those games. Flacco started one of those games. I think Zach started one of those games. So like it's been some just awful, awful
Awful.
offensive football in the last, I don't know how many years.
Well, this goes back to the decision making of Glenn and Muji to go with this quarterback room into the
Yeah.
offseason, right? So this was something I think you had brought up a bunch in the offseason about, look, Justin Fields, we've seen what he's done in his career. A lot of people said he struggles to process the field, holds the ball too long, takes a lot of sacks, and there's a reason why he's on his third team in 3 years, right? But they gave him $40 million to say,
Yeah.
we believe in you, and we're going to make a reclamation project out of you, like other teams have done with Baker and Sam and whatever. My issue is, and I understand this is revisionist history, Kaz. You took a defensive minded rookie head coach and you chose to have him be total keys of the kingdom. He's choosing who his quarterback is. And he chose Justin Fields and kept Tyrod Taylor, didn't draft a quarterback, went with an undrafted rookie and Brady Cook to finish out the room. And then you have a rookie offensive coordinator, someone that hasn't done the play calling before. All of these pieces put together, I think you and others are called like this can be a real disaster for the Jets if that's the way they're going to go about this. And that's how it's played out right now. And I guess I have to say I'm the clown, right? Who thought that this could actually work out, put the paint on my face. But in realistic terms, when you're looking at this, what did you expect? This is what it was. And for them to say Fields, Tyrod, Garrett Wilson, and nobody else in the wide receiver room, and they didn't address that in the offseason, you put yourself in a bind here. So are you shocked, or should I say this is more what you expected to happen this season?
I didn't think it would be this bad. You hit on a bunch of different things there. So let me kind of start one by one. I think if you go back to when they signed Fields, and I know I called it this and others called it this, they called it a lottery ticket. It was a lottery ticket, right? So I don't know if you play the lottery at all, Ryan, or if you have anyone in your family that plays the
When it's
lottery,
a lot
but
of money, that's what I do.
yeah.
Like a lot, a
How
lot.
many times have you won?
Oh, zero,
Yeah, so that's
unfortunately.
most people, right? I think most people won zero. So when you buy a lottery ticket, the odds are highly against you winning, right? And I think that's what Justin Fields was, is he was a lottery ticket. And, the Buccaneers hit on Baker Mayfield, right? And he was a lottery ticket at that time. No, no, I don't think anyone saw him doing what he's doing now in Tampa Bay, right? So that it was a similar situation, and it hasn't worked, and it's a bust. And I think if you want to start nitpicking, the $30 million guaranteed is where I'm kind of like, wow, like that's a lot of money they gave him to not be sure what you were getting. And so that's the part. I think if you're Woody Johnson right now, you're going, hey guys, we really like we need to spend $30 million on this guy. He can't play, but he is who we thought he was. Who we thought he was. He's slow processing, takes a lot of sacks. I thought he'd be better running the ball. That hasn't happened. I'm not sure if it's because he's injured or what, but that hasn't worked. And then the receiver decision is awful, and that's one that we were calling out forever. And everyone who watches the Jets was saying they need a second receiver. They need a second receiver. It feels like I've lived a couple of these. I think in 2021 we were all saying they need a veteran backup quarterback with Zach, and they need that, and they didn't do that. Then they ended up trading for Flacco midseason. Back in 2014, we were all screaming they need to sign a cornerback. They need to sign a cornerback, and they didn't sign a cornerback. It killed their whole season. So it's weird. Like I generally think these people know more about football than I do. but sometimes you wonder because like some of this stuff looks so obvious and they just don't do it. And I think it comes from arrogance. And I think the Fields thing, I think there was a lot of arrogance with the Fields thing. I heard a lot of, well, we're going to coach him differently than he's ever been coached, and we're going to cater to his strengths. And, I think that's insulting to the people in Chicago and Pittsburgh who, like, especially the people in Pittsburgh, have won a lot of games and are a good coaching staff. So, but that was kind of what we heard
Hmm.
is like, that like they didn't use him properly. And, we talked about this all summer, Ryan, like the idea of we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball. It sounds great, and yes, the Philadelphia Eagles have done it spectacularly. But the Philadelphia Eagles also have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith out there to help, and they have the best offensive line in football. And so, like, I don't know. I just think putting all your eggs in that basket was risky, and it's kind of blown up on them because now they can't run the ball because everyone's stacking the box because they can't throw the ball. So yeah, it's a bad situation.
That's putting it lightly right now. Look, you have Tyrod and Justin Fields, who are two of the worst in the NFL currently. With if you believe in EPA, expected points added per dropback, they're in the top 10 worst at the quarterback position of EPA per dropback. Meaning every time they drop back, they're in the top 10 of the worst quarterbacks of expecting points per dropback on their play, and they also average two of the longest times of holding the ball from time to snap to throw. Their
Yeah.
average is two of the longest in the NFL. So you're seeing quarterbacks right now holding the ball too long between Fields and Tyrod, not seeing open receivers downfield, and with the way that the offense has been playing, to what you're saying, like, and how that's been called, they haven't been running the ball to their strengths.
Yeah.
And the usage for Breece Hall, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Why are they not giving the ball more to Breece Hall, even if it's just
Yeah.
not even as a running back, but also as a wide receiver too?
Yeah, like he got dinged up before halftime yesterday, so I think that affected his second half usage. But he only played like 50% of the snaps, which I don't get it. With no Braylon Allen and no Garrett Wilson, like I don't know. I would be going to Breece and saying like, hey bro, hey brother, we're riding you today. Like you're our guy, and we're gonna go with you till the wheels come off. And I don't get it. I don't feel like they've done that at all. And we saw it in training camp. Like they used him creatively in the passing game in training camp. They talked about it that, how great he was at catching the ball, running routes, and it just hasn't materialized. I don't know why. I don't know why they've gone away from it like they have. But yeah, the it's kind of troubling, Ryan, when you look at like the coaching like what are they doing schematically to make up for what they're missing? So like you don't have Garrett Wilson, so like I would think you're sitting there all day Tuesday, and they can play the game how Garrett might have played. They knew Garrett wasn't playing, and you're sitting there last Tuesday going, okay, we have no Garrett Wilson, so like what are we going to do here?
Mm.
How like what are we going to do here to win this game? And I don't know. I don't see anything. I don't see what the plan is at all.
No, I don't either. Would you agree? I think Frankie said this to me yesterday in the postgame show. He goes, it felt like they were running the same offense, but just without Garrett Wilson. Like they were running the same scheme.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you,
Yeah, it's just it doesn't seem like they're not doing it. Like, I don't remember if I talked about this. I was thinking about this. I think I was thinking about this with the defense recently. Did I talk about the Rex game against Denver on the podcast?
no, no.
Yeah. So in 2014, like we're talking about when they didn't have the cornerbacks, right? They played a hellish schedule to start the season. They played all these great quarterbacks, and they played the Broncos with Peyton Manning. And that's what they had been the Super Bowl the year before, and they won the Super Bowl the next year. So Rex knew like he had like Antonio Allen and Darren Walls at cornerback, I'm gonna guess, something like that, right? So he's like, we're dead if we just go out and play our defense. So what he did is he dropped a ton of people in the coverage. So you're like, the Giants, I know the Giants is a hot topic right now. They dropped 8 at the end of the game. He was dropping 8 in the coverage because he knew if Peyton Manning saw that, he'd run the ball. And Rex's thing was like, we might be able to keep this close if we make them run the ball. We're going to be dead if Peyton throws the ball with the guys we have. So he did that, and he put Quentin Coples who was a defensive end. He lined him out on the wide receiver, and he would jam the wide receiver.
Yes.
And years later, I talked to Adam Gase. Adam Gase is the offensive coordinator, and I talked to Adam Gase about that game because to me it was the best coach game I've ever covered. And Gase said Peyton came to the sideline and was like screaming at him, like, "Why didn't you tell me they were going to do this?" And Gase is like, "How the hell would I know that they were going to do this?" Like, and it really confused Peyton, and the Jets kept close. They ended up Geno threw a pick six to keep Talib, if I remember right. They kept the game close though, and it was just remarkable. But to me, it was like they lost the game, but it was like, wow, like he tried something, right? Like he looked at this game and said, if we just line up with our 11 versus their 11, they're gonna kick our ass. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do something here. And it was great. It was like brilliant coaching. It was to me, it was Rex's best coaching. Patriots game playoffs probably his best coaching moment. But this was up there to me because he didn't have the horses. So with this offense right now, no Garrett, like show me something. Come out and show me something different. They had the one trick play.
Yep.
I'll give them that. They at least they tried something there. It didn't work, but
It was a
I don't know.
touchdown
Yeah,
if he hits Lazard there, right?
it was.
And it's
Yep.
a great point by you, Kaz. And I love that anecdote about the 2014 game against the Broncos because this, I guess, brings me to my question about Aaron Glenn, right? Everything that you just highlighted about things that he talked about in the offseason, in the training camp, about how they were going to use players, right? We're going to coach them, like you said, we're going to coach them like they've never been coached before with Breece Hall, with Justin
Yeah.
Fields, and this offense. With a rookie offensive coordinator, mind you, and a defensive minded head coach coming in his first time as a head coach. It just is it felt like a recipe for disaster. I tried to look on the bright side of it. Obviously, I was wrong, and I think you tried to keep me in check, and I give you credit for that. I really do. But this is where I really want to know where this franchise is going, right? 0-7, they're staring at the first pick in the draft right now, and it is
Yeah.
literally bullseye right now. I don't see many wins on the rest of the schedule, believe it or not. I know the Dolphins, they might win that game because the Dolphins are a disaster right now too, but Patriots are not beatable. They're going to play the Bills again. The Browns have a good defense. I want people to understand that. And with the way this offense is currently playing right now and constructed, they're not going to score many points against the Browns. So I don't see many wins on this schedule. In fact, I see probably 1 or 0. If Glenn finishes the season like this, and it continues to be a disaster on offense, is that a fireable enough offense with how he's handled this first year?
If it's 1 or 0, yeah. That's the scenario where I see one and done being in play because I think it'd be hard for Woody Johnson to look at the paying customers and say we're running it back if it's 1 win or 0 wins. I think if he gets to two, I think he's back. I don't think there's going to be a strong desire to make a change after the season and say I don't know. It's like a traumatic thing to an organization when you're changing coaches and changing GMs, and it's a tough thing to go through. And I like going through it 2 years in a row. I don't think is anyone in the Jets wants to do that. So yeah, it's on the table because they have 0 wins still, but I still think it's highly unlikely. I get what you're saying, but here's the thing, Ryan, is the 0-13 Jets beat the Rams in 2020, right? There's results every week that make you go, wow, in the NFL. I didn't see that coming. And so, yeah, on paper, it's rough, but the Jets can win some of these games. And I still think they're going to win some games.
You are staying with it, man. I love it. You just
It's
being
just the law of
consistent.
averages, right? Like, how many 0 win teams are there? Right? It doesn't
Two,
happen.
right? The Browns and the Lions.
Yeah, and I think the Bucks had one year with a tie, right? I think they did way back, but yeah, it's not many, and so it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to do to go winless. So it's the NFL. Like they're gonna win some games.
Some games. Is it right though the fact that the fan like I gotta be honest with you. I know fans were way too reactive. I'm irrational. I tried to be patient with this guy, but I think it's because of, like you said, the arrogance that I
Yeah,
heard from him in the preseason and in the training camp time, where he said, again, all those things I just talked about, and the way it's played out thus far, and the way he's mismanaged a lot of these games. I think that's what leaves a really sour taste in my mouth, and the fact that this team has regressed and his gamble on the quarterback position has miserably failed.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it could be a fireable offense. Is it's how you handle the quarterback position.
Yeah, I don't see that as a fireable offense, that part of it, because right, like I said, I don't think anyone looked at it and went, okay, this is gonna work out perfectly. And like he didn't mortgage the future for Justin Fields. He spent Woody Johnson's money, but it's a 2-year contract, and I'd have to look closer, like if they can even get out of it after this year. I think he's probably back next year, but it's not. I don't think that's a fireable offense. I understand what they were thinking there. I actually thought it was the best option. I wrote it back in December last year because it was looking at the quarterback options. I didn't think they were good ones, and I thought the ones like the reclamation projects were probably Fields, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, right? Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold weren't going to work in this market because there weren't going to be reclamation projects because every mistake they made was going to be about the past. And Darnold wasn't going to come back here. Daniel Jones maybe, but he still would have been had that Giants cloud over him of what happened here. So he needed to go somewhere to start fresh. So Fields made sense to me. So I can't say that's a fireable offense. Yeah, the hard part of this, I think, for Glenn is I think everyone looked at it. They didn't make a lot of moves this offseason. So Fields is probably the biggest move that they made. And so it was largely the same roster as last year, with the obvious change at quarterback. Devontae Adams was a big one, but mostly the same. DJ Reed swapped out for Brandon Stevens. So the difference, like we were sold, was, oh well, the coaching's going to be different. Like that's where the improvement's going to come. Is like, oh, they were so terribly coached. They had all those penalties, right? Like when he was talking about penalties in the summer, he was talking about Saleh, and he thought that he was asked about Will McDonald at one point. What's the difference? He said coaching, right? So he was taking shots at Saleh and Ulbrich, and so that's a dangerous game to play because you know you're putting it on you and you're saying you're gonna be better basically than those guys were. And I don't know. Did you watch Sunday Night Football, Rye?
I did.
Yeah, like,
5 rookies
dude,
for Robert Saleh, and that
yeah,
defense shut down Atlanta.
doesn't change what he did here as a head coach. I'm not saying that at all, but like I don't think he's as bad a coach as everyone made him out to be.
Nope.
And I think he screwed up the quarterback position. You want to talk about the quarterback? He screwed up the quarterback position. He and Joe Douglas,
Yeah.
and that was what doomed him here. But I don't remember too many games where I was like, Salah really screwed that game up. Like that was a tough. Like he really mismanaged that game. One or two. Actually, against Detroit, I remember one that he messed up, but very few. So, I think, yeah, I think we were banking on the coaching being better, and that hasn't happened.
Yeah, it really hasn't. And I think he has 10, 11 more, how many, 10 more opportunities here, 10 weeks, 11
10
weeks,
more games.
10
That's
more
it,
games,
right? 10
11
more.
weeks.
Season's almost over.
Season's almost over. Um, I guess that this is really going to go down to, though, again, if Woody Johnson's going to trust Aaron Glenn to draft that quarterback number one overall if they end up with the number one pick. And then the worst thing possible could happen is you repeat what the Bears and Titans just did, like you pointed
Yeah,
out on last week's episode. So,
yeah, and look, it has worked out for the Patriots.
but they fired him after the season, right?
They did. Yeah, they did. But it was after one season. So the quarterback had one season, but they brought in an established head coach and a very established offensive coordinator, right? Like Josh McDaniels. So I think that's the key there is like, yeah, if the Jets make a change after next year and they find a Vrabel and a Josh McDaniels, like go for it. But that doesn't usually happen. So but yeah, no, I think that's the risk here is if you're taking a quarterback number one or even number two or number three, you're gonna want him to have some continuity and you gotta make sure the coaching staff's gonna be here.
so should I be practicing more patience with this Jets front office and regime? Is that what you're telling me ultimately here for this year?
No, I'm not telling you that. You guys don't need to practice patience. Like fans don't need to practice patience. Like it's you guys have I could almost swore. Um, you guys have eaten a lot of garbage in the last 14 years. And uh, I'm starting to look up, this is looks like it's definitely gonna be a losing season. I think we did say that, right? And 10 straight losing seasons is kind of hard to wrap your brain around. And I was looking up this morning how many times that has happened. And, it's happened. It's happened more than you think, but it's brutal. Like this is A horrible, horrible, horrible just stretch of football in Jets history. And you guys are sitting there spending, you spend your time every Sunday. Some people spend their money going to the game. Some people spend money on jerseys, things like that. So I'm not going to tell you to be patient. You guys don't have to be. Now, Woody Johnson, he might have to be, but I wouldn't. I'm not going to preach to fans.
Well, look, this is under Woody Johnson's regime, his tenure as an owner.
Yeah,
The Jets have more 4-win seasons than actual winning record seasons in his tenure as an owner. Um,
jeez,
that's
what a stat.
that is where we're at as a franchise right now. And I just again I don't see it getting any better this year, especially now that the quarterback is completely. Bottom line, do you think Tyrod Taylor's starting against the Bengals this Sunday?
Yeah, I do. We'll find out. I'm guessing we'll find out Tuesday, Wednesday what the decision is. But yeah, I think he will. And look, it's all about the quarterback, right? Like we can dissect Aaron Glenn all we want. It's about the quarterback. Like you look a lot better when you have a quarterback, and that's what this league is. You either have one or you don't.
Do you think there's enough talent on this roster to be a winning team, or with the quarter, like, are they a quarterback away? I guess is what I'm asking right now
It's a
from
good
actually having a
question.
winning record. You know,
Yeah, yeah, winning record. I think they could have a winning record with a good quarterback. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team.
no,
I don't think they're necessarily a quarterback away from a Super Bowl team, but yeah, I think they're a quarterback away from being a good team.
okay,
Uh, I think because I think the issues right now are just like there's no threat of a passing game, so
correct.
defenses are selling out to stop the run. I think the quarterbacks aren't recognizing pre-snap stuff, blitzes, and so that's making the offensive line look worse. So
They're
I just
holding
think
the
it's
ball
I think
too
it's
long.
they are. I mean, it's simplistic in the NFL to blame everything on the quarterback or give the quarterback credit, but to me right now, the Jets' problems are central to the quarterback position.
It's been a constant theme for over 15 years now. It feels like probably even
Longer than
longer,
that, right?
longer than
Longer
that.
than
If you want to
that.
go to Chad Pennington, all the way to back to him.
Like, go
Uh,
back to 1976, right? If you really want to. I mean,
yep,
Ken O'Brien played pretty well for a while. Chad Pennington played pretty well for a while. Other than that, Mark Sanchez had amazing postseason runs, but other than that, it's been a lot of rough football from the quarterback position.
it has.
Give Vinny a shout out too. Vinny had a good
Yep,
run.
I would give Vinny a shout out as well. The last part I just want to ask you because the discourse obviously is one and done for Glenn. Do you trust him to pick the quarterback in the future and give him patience to do this? The comparisons to the Lions, right? Everyone's talking right now today. I see on Jets social media is the Lions 2021 roster. Believe it or not, did have talent, and that Dan Campbell was lost in what he was doing because of how they started the season, 9-1 or 10-1, whatever it was, and
Yeah,
he had Jared Goff already at that point.
yeah.
I'm
They
seeing
had
it.
Goff. They didn't have a lot of Goff people around
Right,
Goff.
so he had Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamal Williams.
No, 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 no. I thought Ron St. Brown
Amon-Ra was a
came
rookie in 2021.
was a rookie. Okay,
Drafted him that year for 2021.
okay,
So he had
and
DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams,
right.
Amon Ra, Khalif Raymond as his wide receiver
Yeah,
too. And they had TJ Hawkinson, former first round
Hawkinson,
pick,
tight
as tight
end.
end. So
Yeah,
look, there was pieces there, right? But the offense,
yeah,
like you said, was they fired their OC Anthony Lynn at the end of the season. And Campbell,
yeah.
I see Tom Pelissero tweeting out, Dan Campbell, they started the season 0-6, and
Stud by Goff. Yeah.
that Goff needs to play better. I don't see it with Justin Fields. So I
No, look. Just like Jared Goff. Let's be clear here. Jared Goff had a lot better resume than Justin Fields. Like, he was in the Super Bowl with the Rams, and he had some good times with the Rams. Things got sour there, which was a little strange at the end between him and McVay, but he had a good run with the Rams. Like Justin Fields has not had anywhere near the success that Jared Goff had.
right. So the comparison, right, for I guess Glenn is going to continue to paint that picture of, look, I've been through hard times in 2021 when we were
Yeah.
at the Lions and we started 10-1, whatever. It's like, okay, but you had more talent everywhere else besides the quarterback that you chose to go with, mind you. And it's gotten worse offensively, and it's gotten worse as a team from last year to this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, I don't love the comparison things. Saleh did this too. I don't know if people remember this, but Saleh always drew the comparison to San Francisco, right? That San Francisco, I think they lost their first 9 games with Kyle Shanahan. Which looked like that would be 2017, Ryan. 2017 49ers. They were bad. 2017 49ers were bad. 2018 49ers were bad. Then 2019 49ers went to the Super Bowl. Salah pointed to that. Salah pointed to Jacksonville, where he was felt like he was part of the turnaround in Jacksonville, even though I think they actually had success the year after he was fired. He and like Gus Bradley were fired. Seattle, he was part of the turnaround there. So like Salah was kind of pointed to this as like I've done this before. I think every situation is different. Unless you're like Bill Parcells, like you know what I mean, and like you've proven you can go in places and turn things around. I think it's hard to make that case if you were an assistant coach somewhere where it happened.
It's an interesting point from you, Kaz. The 49ers started 6-10 and 4-12. Shanahan's first 2 years with the
And what was their
49ers.
record to start the 17th season? Brian, do you have
Their
that?
yeah, I do. Their record to start that
Like
year.
how many before they won a game?
Yep. Stand by. So they had 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, 0-7, 0-8, 0-9 to start the year
Yeah,
before they won their first game
right.
against the Giants.
Yeah, so Shanahan's a guy that people point to as well as look, he started 0-9, he's a great coach. So yeah, like it can happen, but there's a lot of instances where the turnarounds never happened too. So no one points to those ones. Yeah, I think every situation is different. I'm not like in that camp that the Detroit thing necessarily means anything for here.
So maybe we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing Kaz the coverage this week to see how they handle this quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I want to start talking draft with you soon because
Oh
I know you
God,
don't
we're
want to
not.
hear that, but that's the truth, man. We're at that point now where
October.
it's not even Halloween and we're talking draft and we're talking quarterback prospects.
Yeah, every damn year. Every damn year we're talking draft.
Happy anniversary, Kaz. We appreciate you,
Thank you,
man.
thank you,
Look,
thank you.
we'll talk to you later this week. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to talk about as the week progresses, but we appreciate you, man, always coming on and giving us your latest and insight on all this.
All right, thanks, Ryan.